So I personally don't like those YouTube reviews where they make you wait till the end to find out what you want to know. And what you want to know here, just to let you know, pardon the pun, is how the old SB1000 compares to the new SB1000 Pro. And basically, it's a solid improvement, but is by no means a necessary improvement. So what I mean by that is that the SB1000 Pro, which I have here in this beautiful white gloss finish, by the way, I highly recommend going for the gloss finish if you can afford it. I have the old one here in the black ash finish, which doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look nearly as great as this white finish, which comes, by the way, with this nice white grill. Um, so basically, the major improvements of the SB1000 Pro over the SB1000 is it has the app. And the app is going to be most useful for those who have a two-channel system that does not have bass management capabilities. That's going to be really useful there because you'll be able to sit at your listening position and from the app adjust the phase and adjust the crossover and the volume, and it's going to make it much easier to integrate in cleanly and smoothly with a two-channel system. So if you have a two-channel system without bass management capabilities and you're an audiophile, I do definitely think it's worth the extra money. If you're a home theater person, though, and you predominantly listen, to home theater, and you have a home theater receiver, and the upgrade is worth it, but well, it's harder to say if the upgrade is worth it there because I didn't notice that huge a difference between the old one and the new one in terms of home theater performance. Where I noticed more of the difference was in musical performance. I do think it sounds a bit cleaner for music, maybe a little bit more punchier. The other thing is that the frequency response is slightly flatter than the old SB1000. And the old SB1000 already had a very flat frequency response, but that one seems even flatter, even with all the bass reinforcement I have going on over here. So, in fact, some people may actually find the speaker to sound too flat. And for that, SVS, I think what SVS decided is let's make this speaker as flat and accurate as possible because if people don't like it, they can always go into the app and make it more boisterous that way. So out of the box, it comes out shockingly neutral and shockingly flat, which is great if you're a very particular audiophile or if you are a studio engineer. I think this would be a great subwoofer just for my ears. I don't have any measuring equipment, but at least for my ears, I think this would be a great subwoofer for a studio engineer. So I think the ability to go into the app and change things is going to be especially helpful if you're the two-channel audiophile, and also if you have a difficult room situation and you need to change something, or if you're in like an apartment and you don't want to disturb the neighbors. Right now, because then you can, if you're in an apartment, you could turn down, say, tell the app, hey, turn down the 20 to 40 hertz range and turn that down in the app, and then hopefully not disturb your neighbors. Now, right now, I'm in this very weird living situation where I'm living in someone else's house, so I don't have that much flexibility in terms of installation, which is why I have it in this not ideal position here, and I have a pair of not ideal mica speakers there because I only can have them go so deep, especially if they're back ported. But the micros, by the way, are really great, and I'll review them later on, despite their price point. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. So having the app for bizarre room situations, I think, is helpful. But overall, I think that this is an upgrade that is good, but not absolutely necessary. If you have the SB1000 and you currently like it, I don't think you should feel like you have to upgrade. You can contact SVS to see how much upgrading would cost and decide from there. Another thing is right now you can buy via their factory outlet the old SB1000, including my old SB1000, which is going back. Uh, you can buy them on their factory outlet, and right now they're $399, so or that's where they start. So they start about $100 below the new model. And I think if you're in a home theater situation and you want to go dual subs and you have a good receiver with bass management capabilities, maybe getting two of the old one for $800. That's a pretty good deal there. So you might want to save some money there, whereas it would be, $1,000 for two of the new one. So that's something to consider if you have an AVR and are wanting to go dual. But overall, it's a solid improvement. I believe SVS when they say that the amp is all new and that the driver is all new, but it's not a revolutionary difference. And I think what it really comes down to is, are you going to want to use the app? And I think that's really going to depend on your room and your equipment. But overall, it's a great subwoofer. I liked the old SB1000 and I certainly like the new one. So bravo to SVS there. And as I was saying, if you can spring it, I would definitely go for the gloss finish. Now, if you want the gloss white finish, this is the only one. I think this is the only subwoofer SVS makes in the gloss white, is the SB1000 Pro and the old SB1000 at the factory outlet, which I think is really my suggestion to SVS is maybe make the white gloss available on more models, because I think it looks really great, and I'm really pleased and happy that I went with the white glossed model. So if you have the extra money, consider definitely upgrading the finish. Especially if you have a significant other. If a significant other doesn't go for this subwoofer, I don't know what subwoofer they would go for. Okay, let me know if you have any questions and comments. And anyone who bought who bought an SB1000 based on my prior review, you should be within the 45-day return period to exchange it for the new one, which is what I'm doing, what SVS was nice enough to let me do. And they also said during their web presentation that if you have an SB1000 and want to get into the SB1000 Pro, to contact them and you can work something out. I don't know what the particulars are of that, but they're very friendly and happy to help you. So contact them if you're thinking of upgrading. So after filming that review a moment ago, I discovered something that I didn't know. And that is, as I said, I had this hooked up in a 2.1 setup. And I thought that when the Xbox, which is my source, is an Xbox Series X, that when it was set to send 2-channel uncompressed, that it was preserving the LFE track or folding the LFE track back into the stereo mix when setting it to 2-channeled uncompressed and preserving that. It turns out that it doesn't, that it actually just completely throws out the information in the LFE track and doesn't fold it into the 2 channels. So then when I turned the Xbox to have it send 7-channeled uncompressed, suddenly I got a lot more bass information out of the system, and definitely out of the subwoofer. And with all that additional bass information, it's difficult for me to say who would need a larger subwoofer than this. It's really quite amazing to me that this is SVS's smallest and cheapest subwoofer, given all of the bass that it can produce. So, even without the LFE track, it sounded very good. But with the LFE track, it now sounds really amazing. And I'm hard pressed to see, who really needs these giant, larger, more expensive subwoofers after that. So I think it really shows that it provides a compelling value. But it also makes me curious to know, just how much bass can these larger subwoofers produce if this one can produce so much. So anyway, don't assume what I did, which is that the recording engineer or that the playback device would be kind enough to fold the LFE information into the 2-channel PCM mix, because it probably isn't, in part to preserve people's TV speakers in case they're feeding the signal into their TV and listening to it through the TV speakers. But it sucks for people with high-end 2-channel systems, or for listening over headphones, that they can't enjoy the bass from the LFE channel, even if their system can handle it, because it wasn't folded into the 2-channel PCM mix either by the recording engineer or by the playback device. So, okay, that was just a quick technical note, but my overall, impressions of the subwoofer in terms of comparing the SB1000 and the SB1000 Pro haven't changed. Thanks.